Have you ever wondered why your kindness only serves to fuel a narcissist's hunger for power? This is precisely the warning Carl Jung, the father of analytical psychology, would give you. Narcissism isn't a mere lack of love, but an unstable ego concealing a fragmented soul. According to Jung, the narcissist has failed the process of individuation. Rather than facing and integrating their inner shadow, they construct a grandiose persona built on an insatiable need for validation. When you act nice, forgiving, accommodating, holding back, you unknowingly send the message, "I accept a lower rank in this power play." Your kindness isn't revered as a noble gift, but consumed as emotional supply that feeds the narcissist's ego. In this video, we will explore Jung's insights into how the persona and shadow dynamics operate in narcissism, understand why kindness without boundaries only traps you in a passive role, learn to set firm boundaries paired with inner mindfulness so you never become an energy vending machine for a manipulator again. Stay with us until the end to master powerful Jungian tools that will free you from having to be nice to a narcissist and reveal the true strength in choosing yourself over their control. Part 1. The cosmic light of the persona. When the narcissist crafts their grand mask. Have you ever wondered why, amid a sea of personalities, the narcissist always exudes boundless confidence, as if they hold every key to power? Yet, when you approach them with kindness and empathy, they quietly catalogue each act of concession in their cruel little notebook. In Carl Jung's view, each of us must reckon with two fundamental inner entities: the persona, the social mask we don to navigate the world, and the shadow, the hidden realm of unhealed pain and conflict. In the narcissist, the process of individuation is paralyzed. Instead of acknowledging and integrating their whole self, they erect a persona so grandiose that it becomes an impenetrable fortress, shielding them from the light of truth. A narcissist persona is not merely a communication hack or a soft facade like an ordinary person's. It is a lavish undertaking and intricate armor woven from an insatiable hunger for adulation, applause, and endless admiration. When you look at them, you see an extraordinary figure seemingly incapable of error. Yet behind that gleaming shell lies a psychological abyss, a shadow never once illuminated. Every inferiority, every childhood wound, every echo of terrifying loneliness is buried deep, all so that the persona can reign supreme on the surface of life. Herein lies their cunning. When you extend kindness or offer understanding, forgiveness, or a willing ear, a normal person would see genuine connection. But to the narcissist, it signals your failure to grasp the game. You are silently saying, "I'm ready to bow, to keep feeding your needs." Each self-sacrificing gesture is instantly devoured by the persona as a reward precious energy that fuels their inflated ego. Jung described narcissism as a compensatory mechanism. That grand persona is a tarp concealing a fragmented inner self that must constantly be patched with external validation. When you sow kindness, you nourish the narcissist persona. When you grant forgiveness, you encourage that fictitious ego to replay its untouchable grandeur. According to the principle of intermittent reinforcement, the emotional rewards the narcissist distributes are unpredictable, sometimes a mild apology, sometimes an unexpected sweet gesture just enough to kindle in you the fragile hope. Maybe this time they'll change. But the more you hope, the deeper you fall into the trap, because the persona exploits those rare moments to deepen its dominion over your psyche. So how can you honor the brilliance of the persona without becoming its victim? Jung proposes shadow work, the courageous journey of confronting your own dark side. First, you must identify which parts of yourself remain neglected, which buried emotions lie unexpressed, what fears and resentments you've stashed away to keep the peace. By bravely dissecting your inner world through active imagination, you begin to shrink the abyss in which the narcissist's persona hides. The more you understand yourself, the less that grand performance can sway you. Second, you must reaffirm your own worth through clear boundaries. Jung's idea of boundary isn't a cold wall, but a radiant halo born of self-respect and authenticity. When you say no, not out of cruelty, but because you know your limits, you challenge the other's persona. And if that persona cannot survive the test, the narcissist's shadow erupts. Fury, smear campaigns to tarnish your reputation, gaslighting to make you doubt your own reality, or brief hoovering attempts to reel you back in. But that is precisely the turning point Jung calls the mask breakdown. When the grandiose facade can no longer sustain the illusion, the narcissist's shadow surges forth anger, despair, false accusations, all revealing the cracks within. In that moment, you don't see a monster in disguise. You see a fragile being spinning in terror of losing control. Finally, Jung urges us to harness empowerment to break free. This power emerges when you combine emotional intelligence with personal will. When you listen to yourself before tuning into another's persona. When you establish your boundaries before allowing a narcissist entry into your inner world. You not only safeguard your energy, but also invite them to face their own shadow, a rare chance to choose true healing rather than cling to the mirage of power. This journey is not for the faint of heart. It demands courage, consistency, and brutal honesty with yourself. Yet behind every darkness lies an inner light yearning for wholeness. If you have the patience to unlock each chamber of your shadow to embrace pain and imperfection, you will discover your own path to individuation, where a genuine persona exists side by side with an integrated shadow, leaving no space for manipulation or domination. Through a Jungian lens, understanding the persona is not about dissolving it, but about honoring the complexity of yourself and others. When you stop being nice without limits, you do not become cruel, you become clear-sighted. You grant both yourself and the narcissist one more opportunity. The opportunity for self-awareness, for healing, and ultimately for relationships built on true honesty and mutual respect. Part 2. When kindness becomes a weapon, fueling the narcissist. Have you ever realized that your boundless kindness is actually empowering the narcissist's power play? When Carl Jung plunged into the human psyche, he warned that kindness without boundaries not only reveals a needy soul, but also serves as an open invitation for a narcissist to manipulate you. With ordinary people, forgiveness and empathy forge genuine connection, but with a narcissist, they signal that you've willingly ceded equality and handed them control. Jung described narcissism as a compensatory mechanism in which a grandiose persona hides a wounded inner self. When you're excessively nice, you don't soothe them, you affirm their triumph. Every comforting word and act of restraint is logged as proof that I can control you. Unconditional kindness becomes precious emotional supply, fortifying the persona while burying the shadow ever deeper. The key lies in intermittent reinforcement, the uneven reward punishment principle that proves far more potent than consistent praise. Narcissists cleverly dole out rare gestures of kindness, an empty apology, a reluctant hug, a casual "I love you." These crumbs spark your hope, but never rebuild true trust. Each time you waver, they reward you briefly, then withdraw again. This cycle traps you in a fragile loop. The more you give, the more you crave. You can spot this pattern in everyday life. In romantic relationships, forgiving yet again becomes proof of your generosity, encouraging them to hurt you all over, just so they can be forgiven once more. At work, smoothing over conflicts is read as proof you won't stand up for yourself, so they freely dump extra responsibility on you. Within the family, your continual concessions to keep the peace become license for them to judge and criticize without restraint. According to Jung, breaking this cycle requires kindness with boundaries, kindness coupled with clear limits. First, ask yourself, am I giving to genuinely help or just to avoid conflict? If you're driven by fear of confrontation, it's time to pause and reassess. Next, engage in a Jungian inner dialogue. Identify your own shadow. What wounds or insecurities drive you to be nice, even when it compromises your self-protection? Recognize the narcissist's persona. Which mask are they wearing to hide their fear of losing control? Set soft and firm boundaries. Respect them gently, but never sacrifice your own value. For example, instead of replying immediately, allow yourself time to think. If a request oversteps your limits, say firmly, "I understand, but I can't do that." Use active imagination, a Jungian technique, to visualize your shadow and persona. Imagine a dialogue with the inner narcissist asking, "Why do you need me to forgive you unconditionally?" Confronting that image helps you recognize each manipulative tactic. The clearer you see them, the less they intimidate you. Practice wise empathy. Offer compassion, but insist on accountability. Give them space to speak, but only within a framework of mutual respect. If they resort to gaslighting or blame shifting, detach and restate what they said. "You just said, but I feel," so they can't evade responsibility. This path isn't easy. You'll feel guilt, fear of seeming cold or rigid, but Jung insists that sacrificing yourself to please others is self-betrayal. True strength lies not in how long you endure, but in daring to center yourself in your own individuation. Finally, remember, when you learn to give love without losing yourself, you not only end the cycle of feeding the narcissist persona, you also open the door to real healing for both of you. Only when the shadow is understood and the persona no longer hides the pain can the narcissist face their wounds and choose change. 3 pledges to practice. Refuse to give free kindness to anyone who merely sends an energy request. Hold silence long enough that they wonder, "Why isn't there a response this time?" Cultivate self-respect daily by journaling your feelings whenever you feel pressured to be nice. When you shift from boundless to conscious kindness, your energy flows back to you, and the narcissist, instead of treating you as a prize, must confront the wall of self-worth you've built. That is true power, which Jung called Kraft durch Wahrhaftigkeit, the strength that comes from authenticity. Part 3. Shadow Work and Jungian Boundaries, the path to self-liberation. Have you ever felt some invisible fear clinging to you, making you hesitate to set limits with those who constantly exploit your empathy? Carl Jung declared, "Anyone who does not recognize their own shadow will live under its sway forever." The shadow, the hidden darkness within each of us, holds buried emotions, unhealed wounds, and unmet desires. For a narcissist, that shadow is even deeper, overwhelming both reason and heart, and enabling them to manipulate you through your most unconscious reactions. The essence of Jung's shadow work is to face the darkness rather than flee. Imagine standing before a jet black mirror. You see not only your outward form, but also all the hidden corners, your loneliness, your humiliation, the self-reproach for being too soft. This process isn't about inducing shame, but about reunification. By acknowledging your shadow, you strip it of its mysterious power over your psyche. When you name each piece of that darkness, from fear of abandonment to irrational anger to vague guilt, you close the door through which a narcissist would gaslight or smear campaign you. Next, Jung offers the technique of active imagination, allowing your mind to conjure internal scenes and to dialogue directly with your shadow. In a calm moment, picture your shadow self as a frightened child or an angry figure. Listen as it whispers, "I'm afraid you'll abandon me," or "I'm not worthy of love." You answer, "I'm here. I won't abandon you. You deserve safety." Repeating this inner conversation reconciles your dark side with your light, so that your shadow no longer hijacks your automatic responses when a narcissist pushes your buttons. Combine shadow work with Jungian boundary-setting boundaries that are firm on the outside and supple within. A firm boundary is decisively saying no to any demand or remark that crosses your line. A supple boundary means patiently allowing the other person a chance to adjust without sacrificing your core values. When a narcissist crosses your firm boundary, their persona falters and their shadow erupts in anger or despair. That is the mask breakdown you await. Once the facade collapses, you no longer fall for their illusion of power. On this journey, follow 3 key steps. Self-observation. After every tense interaction, journal how you feel. What happens when your smile is met with words that make you doubt yourself? Writing it down helps you distinguish genuine emotion from a shadow-triggered reaction. Inner dialogue. Use active imagination to visualize a conversation between you and your shadow. This transforms the shadow from an enemy into a part that needs compassion. As it heals, it no longer assaults you with guilt or fear of rejection when you assert your limits. Intentional action. Before you default to being too nice, pause and ask, what value am I serving by giving this? If it's merely to avoid conflict, adjust by saying, I need time, or let's revisit this once we're both calm. Acting with intention prevents you from unconsciously following your shadow and ensures you protect your energy. Persist with shadow work and Jungian boundaries, and you'll witness a profound shift. Fear stops being the lever a narcissist pulls to manipulate you, and instead becomes the measure by which you affirm your worth. You won't just withstand gaslighting tactics, you'll heal long neglected parts of your inner world. Each time you refuse a half-hearted apology, each moment you choose silence over hasty explanation, you build self-respect and personal will qualities Jung considered the ultimate fruits of individuation. Challenges will arise. A narcissist may deliberately trigger your shadow with demeaning remarks, indifference, or cruel reminders of solitude. But if you've journeyed with your shadow, you know these are just ripples on a once turbulent pond now stilled. You can observe without reacting, asking, what am I truly afraid of? Once you answer, you no longer endure. You calmly set new boundaries, balanced with compassion for yourself and even for the narcissist, but compassion that's intentional, not a free pass to keep giving away your soul. Finally, Jung believed individuation is not a solitary quest. It's a journey of genuine connection, reconnecting with the self you once abandoned, embracing the shadow that needed your care, and relating to others those worthy of sincere understanding, not sporadic drips of unconditional kindness. When you become whole, your persona no longer needs a glittering facade, your shadow no longer demands concealment, and your relationships can rest on honesty, equality, and mutual respect. So begin today. Grab pen and paper, record your emotional reactions, imagine dialogues with your shadow, and courageously set your boundaries. The path to healing may be arduous, but when you walk it with self-awareness, you not only free yourself from narcissistic chains, you also invite your personal light and authentic human connection back into your life. Finally, our journey has been more than a series of lessons on how a narcissist's psyche operates, from the radiant persona mask to the uneven reward-punishment game, fueled by boundless kindness, and the shadow work that probes the deepest corners of your inner darkness. It has been an inner revolution, one in which you become the sole author of your own life story. When you learn to recognize the narcissist persona, you no longer see an invincible adversary, but a wounded image in need of healing. When you understand that kindness without boundaries simply supplies their emotional fuel, you can offer compassion without losing yourself, and when you bravely engage your own shadow, you free yourself from the invisible chains that once imprisoned your soul. This is the Jungian path of individuation. It's not about turning into a cold, unfeeling person, but about balancing kindness with resilience, empathy with self-protection. Each time you firmly say no to defend your boundaries, you not only shield yourself from manipulation, but also encourage the narcissist to confront their own darkness, a necessary first step toward any true healing. Each moment you pause and ask, what value am I honoring here? You strengthen your self-respect and transform fear into inner power. Now, armed with these Jungian tools, persona identification, intentional kindness, shadow work, and soft and firm boundaries, treat them as your compass for every future relationship. You deserve to be treated with equality and mutual respect, not on the basis of favors or endurance. Remember, true strength lies not in how much you endure, but in your willingness to break the cycle of codependency and reclaim your own power. If you found today's lesson helpful, drop a double A below to let me know you're walking this path with me. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you won't miss our next deep dive into Jungian concepts from anima and animus to archetypes to guide you further on your journey of self-discovery. And please share your experiences in the comments. How have you applied boundaries or shadow work? What challenges are you facing? Your stories will inspire our community to grow stronger and find inner freedom together. Thank you for watching until the end. Remember, you are not alone, and every step you take brings you closer to the most powerful, complete version of yourself.